You mentioned authority, and I think that the separation of church and state as a discussion requires a discussion in of itself. But there's a saying from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. that the church is not meant to be the master nor the servant of the state, but its conscience. It's meant to be its guide and its critic, not its tool. And so the church, obviously, by extension, religion, what role does religion play in regards to authority? And I think by authority, we can also extend that also with political candidates, not just people that are already in office, not to become tools of politicians, whether they are in office or whether they are in candidates, but rather the integrity of religion. Well, when you talk about authority and you talk about morality and you talk about where society stands, morality requires a strong definition, and it requires a place in society, and religion plays a role in defining what's moral in society. But religion has to maintain credibility by not being so blatantly hypocritical. So there is a role. Power. If power does not have the check of morality, then it becomes tyranny. If freedom does not have the check of morality, it risks becoming depravity. So it has a role to play. I think that when you talk about the role of religion and power and that independence and religion with political candidates and defining a more comprehensive morality, if we are to say that we have timeless principles that can resist temporary shifts of power, principles that can resist temporary shifts in societal trends, truly timeless principles, what does that look like in resisting becoming as polarized as our politics has become? Now, there has been an erosion of the religious middle. It's not just the political middle. There has been an erosion of the religious middle because religion has become so politicized, you have to make a choice. If you want to stay in your church, stay in your synagogue, stay in your mosque, you have to make a choice, and that choice is usually going to be highly partisan. So how do we push back on some of those things? Well, for one, where there is universal good, I think that religion can help us set ourselves apart in terms of the zeal that we bring to working for that universal good. So people that rely on faith, that draw from a reservoir of deep faith, work in accordance with that faith in ways that are in ways that are unique, in ways that are particularly energetic. So I don't think that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. would have achieved what he achieved had he not been a person of deep faith. I don't think that Malcolm X would have achieved what he achieved had he not been a person of deep faith. I think that Mother Teresa set herself apart because of her faith, or she drew from a place of faith. I think a person who's not as well known, but Abdul Sattar Idhi in Pakistan set himself apart, drawing from a place of faith in his humanitarian work. So where there's good, universal good, you set yourself apart by drawing from that reservoir. Where there is evil, you set yourself apart where it's a clear evil and fighting that evil. I don't think Muhammad Ali would have stood up the way that he stood up had he not had a place of faith that he could draw from. And then where there is ambiguity. Where there is ambiguity, we have to maintain consistency. If we resist the temptation to become drawn into a particular political platform and be values-based, then when we talk about morality, we can bring a moral perspective to both how the child in the womb is treated as well as the child in the cage at the border. We can bring a moral perspective to both pornography and poverty. We can talk about these things that are so divisive, and we can bring that consistency and not shy away from offering a comprehensive and consistent answer. If we are consistent on where we stand on something like torture or war or militarism, we're not simply going to speak out on those issues when the particular president that's in power is someone we don't like. Immigration has been a broken system for a long time. We've had a militarism issue for a long time. So we've had a torture issue for a long time. We still have not resolved Guantanamo Bay. The images of Abu Ghraib in Iraq still never had a true form of reparation. So where's the morality on that? And how do we actually maintain a consistency across administrations and across issues and say we're drawing from timeless principles no matter what issue we are discussing, and they all fall in accordance with the dignity of a human being and how a human being should be honored?